Hello everybody, Toastbomb here. Today we are figuring out how to improve your game quicker and the fastest way to do it possible. Now the number one key factor to improving your game very quickly is focus. Because it is very easy to sit down and play a video game and just relax, just sort of mindlessly run around and shoot guys. And that's okay if you want to do that, you want to have fun, just do whatever, that's totally fine. But if your goal is to try and improve your game and get better, that's not gonna quite cut it. You will sure get slowly, very slowly, better and better, but you're gonna need to step it up if you want to improve. Now to do this, it's not necessarily going to be the easiest thing. It is going to take some diligence, but as long as you have the initiative and you make sure you follow through, you should be just fine. Now when I say focus, I don't necessarily mean the things that a lot of people tend to associate with focus, which is basically just aiming. A lot of people, when they're really trying hard, they're really just focusing in on their aiming a lot and that's it. No, I mean bigger than that. I'm talking about a lot more stuff. And actually, believe it or not, aiming should probably be at one of the lowest priority things that you should really be concentrating at when you're playing. But that is also obviously not to say it's not important. You still need to shoot, you still need to kill people, that's still really important. But generally, strategy will beat good shots in a lot of situations. So the things you need to be focusing on when you're going into a match, and just try this next match, just try maybe not going in and focusing at all of them at once, but just try one, maybe just try two, especially if they're unfamiliar to you, these things that you've never really thought about before. Just try focusing on a couple, and then maybe trying a few a different match, and trying a few a different match, and eventually you can incorporate all those into your matches and do that all at once, and try to be juggling all these things at the same time. But just to start, try just doing maybe a couple at a time. But anyways, the things you want to be focusing on. The first thing is your positioning is very important. How you position yourself is going to influence how the enemy positions themselves, how your teammates position themselves, how likely you are to win your next fight, and a lot more stuff. So that is extremely important to be paying attention to that. Now obviously that's a pretty general thing to say, and all these things I'm going to be listing off are very general things, and the goal isn't necessarily to teach you how to do these things, but just to make you aware and to allow you to understand that these things are very important so you can start improving upon them and start paying attention to them. Because I can't really explain all of these in one big video because they're absolutely massive topics just alone. So anyways, further on the list, you also need to be paying attention to your teammates' positioning, because your teammates' positioning can influence a lot of things. How you're going to position yourself, how the objective is going to be played, how the enemy is going to spawn, how your teammates are going to spawn, how you're going to spawn. And that's another thing you got to be paying attention to, is your spawns. Be paying attention to how your teammates spawn in certain situations and what influences that. Try to break down the system and figure out the variables that need to be flipped so that this desired outcome happens. And once you start to understand the system to that at a very core level, you can start to manipulate that system and use it to your advantage. And then also obviously be paying attention to enemy spawns. Try and figure out, when does the enemy spawn here and why does he spawn here? Always ask that question when something happens that you see. Why did that happen? When they spawned at open side on Haven, why did that happen? Was it because I was standing here? Was it because we just killed them off in this position and now we're in this position and we're only looking in these certain areas, we're not blocking the spawns? How does that happen? And try to break down and kind of peel back the curtain and look behind all the ugly stuff in the background and figure out how it's all being processed in the game. Then also try to be paying attention to time. Now this only sort of applies when you're playing a playlist that has weapons that are spawning on set intervals, because a lot of them don't. But even if you're not, it's still a good habit to try and pay attention to what the timer is on the clock, so when you are in one of those playlists, you can start timing weapons, and that is a huge thing. Timing weapons makes your chances much better, because a team with a rocket launcher is a lot better than a team without a rocket launcher. And then also be paying attention to objective. And this is not only just your capture the flags, your oddballs, all that stuff, but also even in Team Slayer, it's very important to be paying attention to, okay, how many kills does our team have, how many kills does their team have, and figure out what you need to do from there. It's very useful information in many situations, so you can figure out, okay, I need to speed up the game, I need to slow down the game, stuff like that. And that is actually also another thing to be paying attention to while you're playing the game, is the speed and pace of the action can actually change dramatically over the course of the game. And if you're paying attention to that, again, you can do a similar thing where you'll eventually figure out, like, okay, this is what causes the enemy to stop kind of pushing towards me, and this is what causes me to not push towards them. And that's another thing, is you can figure out, okay, this is sort of my behavior, and usually my behavior is pretty close to a lot of other people's behavior, so I can kind of figure out, okay, what makes me not push into a certain situation, or what makes me want to rush into a situation, and then you can kind of reverse engineer that and apply it on your enemies. And once you've sort of mastered that system of, okay, this is how I speed up the game, slow down the game, you can really manipulate that mid-game and use that greatly to your advantage. Now, thinking about all of these systems constantly throughout a game is, surprisingly enough, even if you thought just sitting in your chair playing a video game would not be hard, it can actually be a little bit taxing. So you might actually feel the urge, like, oh man, I'm kind of fried, I just want to stop, you know, whatever, I'm going to stop, I'm going to go sleep, do something else, watch TV, whatever. Don't do that. Just play an extra game, or an extra 2 games, just try to push through and play those extra games, because your mind is like a muscle. If you use it, it will get stronger. But if you're only using it to like the point where you're kind of like, I don't really feel much like playing anymore, then you're not going to get it any stronger. Or at least it's going to get stronger at a very, very, very slow rate. But if you push through, do those few extra reps, do it, like, on 1 or 2 more games, then that'll make your brain much stronger, and you'll be able to play for longer and longer intervals, and the exhaustion won't be as much of an issue any longer. And that'll allow you to focus longer and allow you to focus better during games. So that's all very important as well. So anyways, there you have it. That is how to try and improve your game. It wasn't necessarily a very in-depth video, a pretty broad overview, but if you are not aware of a lot of these concepts and ideas, then that's definitely something you want to try and think about more. And if you haven't been actively thinking about them throughout all of your games, then that's maybe something you want to start doing. Ask why, try and peel back the curtain, figure out how the systems work, and figure out what you do so you can apply it to enemies. And also, if you are just starting out, it might be easier and also more effective to just try and think about a few of these systems during a game, and then start adding more and more as you get used to that thought process. So anyways, that will be it for this one. If you liked it, you can leave a like or a comment, or you can subscribe, because I post new Halo videos every day. Anyways, thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye.